Hello everyone, I just wanted to share an honest, truthful update with you all with where I'm at right now in life in general. I'm literally doing this from my bed. Again, this is another thing. I'm very much, taking myself out the box of, that professionalism of, how my business should look a certain way and all these graphics and, how it should be staged and positioned. Again, I feel like I've been on this real journey of deeper ego deaths and up levels and really connecting more deeper to my truth. And I feel like this is very much connected more to my womb. Again, I feel like the more I connect deeper to my womb, I feel like it takes me on a whole other portal, like whole other dimension. And I'm really seeing how it's starting to play out in my external reality, but also with my relationships, like connections, but also how I show up in social media with my business and everything itself. And I'm really taking it from a different approach now, an approach that feels more yummy to me. Now anyone with a business will know, it's a big thing having a business. It's your baby. It's something so dearly and passionate to you. And before I opened up this business, I had a beauty business before that. But I realized now, being on this journey, having this business, how masculine based, how I was very much my masculine energy when I was navigating my beauty business. Now, I literally had to start from the very beginning. And when I started also, like, knowing you about Kundalini, and for that was kind of like a struggle of like, okay, how am I going to explain this? Like, how do I explain what Kundalini is? How do I explain my journey, my experience? And again, moving from a beauty business where I had a good clientele base, I was already doing beauty for 11 years, so it was a big part of my life. And I loved it. There were so many parts that I loved about it. But then there was just a point where I just needed to change. And I guess, when you need to change and your soul just tells you at that exact moment, and to just really trust and follow that. But yeah, there was a time, I'd just been to Bali. I just connected to Kundalini, had this big awakening. I was 6 months deep into the night of the soul. In and out. Again, the night of the soul is the most intense experience. But then I headed back to Jersey, and there was more unraveling, delayering, and lots of realizations that I could no longer live and pursue the life that I was living. So that's when I gave up my beauty business. I also no longer resonated with living where I originally lived, Jersey. I had to let go of a lot of things. I basically let go of everything that I knew was my comfort zone. Everything that made me comfortable, I had to let go of. And this is the thing. It's like we hold on to the things that make us comfortable, and then that's when we can feel like we fixate and use that as our safety blanket. And that's when we can become lost and unfulfilled in our own happiness, because we're holding on to something that only what we've known. And I get it, this journey is a big thing. It's when you're kind of going into the unknown. But something that I realize is that you're always in the unknown, no matter what. Although you may think what your day is going to look like or what it may be like now, but anything can change at any time. And that's the thing. That's like what our ego mind, the controlling mind, it wants to know, it wants to have control. And when you connect with Kundalini, it kind of like disrupt that. And then it will disrupt that in the sense that it will show you that you are not here to hold on, but you are here to remember and create the safety within you. And then that is when you will begin to have those major breakthroughs and epiphany and realization moments of like, okay, this is no longer serving me. And that's exactly what happened when I shut down my beauty business, which was a big thing, like leaving my old life behind. And so going back to, I started everything from scratch. Like I built my clientele, everything from scratch. Like there was honestly, and I'm getting teary, like there was moments that I literally just wanted to give up. Like I did not want to continue. There was moments that I was doubting myself so much. Like, can I do this? Like, is it really something that I can do? Like, again, there was the noise around me, you know, people say, sure, this is what you're going to do. Like, what are you doing? You know, does it make you money? Does it this? Does it that? Like questioning, honestly, this like whole, there was a lot of fears and stuff. But you know what? I kept going. I connected to my why. I remembered through my experience, my own journey. I connected inwardly, connected to my heart. And that's what kept me going, even though moments that I felt like giving up. And I guess this is a simpler message to any of you who is in the business world, who is a facilitator or holding space or going into this journey. Like, I'm not here to tell you it's all sunshine and rainbows, because it's absolutely not. Like, you will go through the journey. And that's why I then come into terms with this whole perception, this thing around Kundalini. Now, I feel like there has been it's kind of scary to see how unclear things are beginning to occur around the Kundalini space, and how there's these kind of like cults being created, also competition around it, also, you know, this ego driven way of holding space, people just really in it for the money, not really thinking about, you know, people who come into the space. And I've been seeing a lot of that. And, you know, again, I guess when I first went into it, I guess there was a bit of ego, but I guess now that's just dismantled even more and more, because what I've come to understanding and realizing, it's not about the strongest transmission. It's not about, you know, who gives the most powerful session. It's not about, you know, having the most profound experience. It's not about the movement. It's not anything to do with that. If anything, this space is about safety. It's about safety, okay? This energy is so sacred. It is so pure, and it takes us back to the innocence. It takes us back to our baby energy. It takes us back from the very beginning, into the womb, into the fetus. You would never go prodding on a baby, pushing a button, or you'd never over push a button to try and like wake them up or get them to speaking again. And again, it's like this space with Kundalini, and what is happening, many people going into these spaces and going at full force and activating these people, which is then leaving them like even more dysregulated and this override, because it's not being created in this safe space. And that is the most important part. And I feel like that's where there's a lot of misconceptions and a lot of things happen with Kundalini, and then people saying, you know, it's dangerous, it's bad, it's this and this, because again, there's not been enough emphasis in this safety, creating this safe container, and also emphasizing integration, and also from the facilitator's own embodiment, own path. Now, you can go to a training, you can get the qualification, whatever, you know, learn the ins and outs of Kundalini. But if you're not going through your own journey, your own embodiment, your own unraveling of your own shit, basically, then you will not be able to contain that space fully, because you need to go on your own journey. And this is why with my facilitation training that I'm doing now, I'm really emphasizing on that, on the embodiment, on how a facilitator goes on their own journey of unraveling, so that you then regulate your nervous system to then hold the space for others through that regulated state. and also them understanding the science about it, how to hold that space, how to understand what is happening with the body. And what I see as well, a lot of people facilitating the space, they're not understanding how to hold the space or what's happening with the body, knowing when the person is getting too activated. Again, with Kundalini, although it can be called Kundalini Activation, and I don't really want to emphasize on calling it Kundalini Activation anymore, I want to call it more transmission, which it is a transmission, because again, the facilitator is just holding the space. You are not the source, you're holding the space for these people coming in, and they're connecting to their own intelligence. Again, this energy has its own intelligence. So you're not here to push any buttons or put or anything on them. Like, there's none of that happening. You're just the anchor, the channel, but it's for you to ensure that you have that grounded, secure, stable, regulated anchoring to hold the space. Because again, we hold blueprints, we hold codes, we hold information, and that's what you're activating and triggering through these sessions, through other people that come into this space. And that's why I say this embodied path is so important, to really connect to what you need to unravel, to hold that safe space and safe container. And that's what I really want to emphasize in. But also, anyone who's watching this, again, I want you to also know that it's not about the movements as well. A lot of people emphasize on this movement, and they put these expectations on, I want to get the movement. But then when you put expectations on yourself, what happens is that your dopamine levels rise. And then when your dopamine levels rise, you're then more likely to have more control and not really truly relax and let go and surrender. What the whole point of this space is to deactivate you, actually. It's to deactivate you, to create a safe space. So what you are doing, what we're doing in this space as a facilitator, you're creating this safe, nurturing space, putting nice, soft, gentle frequency music, more of that non-REM state music, so that then you're creating a space where your clients' dopamine levels drop, to then enhance melatonin levels and the oxytocin, which is the love hormone, which is the safety hormone, which is the hormone where you build trust. It's the trust hormone, and that's what you want to build in this space, so that then you open, when you create a safe space, that's when you begin to really truly let go and surrender. And that's what I really want to emphasize in this space. And that's why I really like to work deeply one-to-one with clients. Like, although I love I love group sessions, and I love the fact that people do come, that's okay, people just want the one-off session and stuff, but I do truly emphasize in the continuous journey, because each session builds up from the last. But also having that support with integration, because I feel like the integration is the most important part. And integration it's basically when you have, so what happens in session is powerful, but it's what happens afterwards. So basically, what you just processed in session, and now your body needs time to process it on a physical sense. So your nervous system needs time to recalibrate and realign. And so what happens is that when you go into integration, this is when a lot of shedding can happen, and this is when a lot of emotions can arise, and a lot of uncomfortableness and discomfort, but also when a lot of breakthroughs happen, and a lot of revelations, a lot of synchronicities, a lot of change happens within this space. And sometimes that can feel a bit like, whoa, overwhelming, because what's happening is that your nervous system, it's trying to catch up with what you've accomplished on a soul level. So then what is happening is that your ego is trying to make logical sense of it, and then your ego is like, whoa, like, what is happening? Am I unsafe right now? Because there's a lot of this and this happening. But it's not the truth. It's just your nervous system trying to recalibrate and realign with everything that you've just processed from that session. And that's why integration is so important, and that you have someone to actually guide you and support you through that space, rather than be left on it on alone. Because one thing that I didn't have on my journey, I didn't have any support through integration. And oh my gosh, I struggled so much. Like, I struggled a lot because I just didn't understand and know what's happening with my body. Because your body just does go through a lot. And that's again why then people can sometimes people say, Kundalini is dangerous and this, because change happens, okay? You're changing, you're reprogramming your whole intelligence, your whole nervous system, your muscle memory. But if you are navigated in a safe space, supported, if you are just really, supported in that space and navigated through with a facilitator that has created that safe containing space, then you will be absolutely fine. Again, also what I want to emphasize is that Kundalini activation is not an awakening. It's different. An awakening is more intense, is big, like it is completely different level, and it's very unlikely that you'll go through an awakening process when you come to a Kundalini activation session. Again, I want to change it to Kundalini transmission session. So that's that about that. So another thing, an update with my life is, again, as we're on this journey, we're always unraveling and delayering, and there's always big shifts, and it's just like the onion is always peeling back the layers. So it's definitely a journey, and with me, what I've just recently gone through is a huge ego death. So me being open, raw and true and authentic is that I was still holding on to smoking. So I've always been an on and off smoker, but I was when I came to Madeira, and then something got triggered within me, and then I started smoking again. So it's been about 2 years that I've been smoking. I was smoking this heated tobacco, but still not great. Again, it's not wrong if you do smoke again and stuff. Like, I'm not saying it's wrong or anything. This is just my journey, and I'm just sharing my personal journey. But what I came to realization with my device, the smoking, it was that safety blanket. It was that grounding. It was that stability. It was that something to avoid and feel true emotions. It was actually blocking me from really truly feeling like vitality on a deeper level. Now I know I feel the sense of vitality I have, but since I've stopped, I feel it on a whole other level. But also what I realized, it was the wounded masculine. That's why I was reaching out for that. It was because as a perception with a masculine, there was never that full stability, that full grounding, that full connection, you know. I would say there was a lot of fear around men. As you know, when I was younger, I was sexually abused by someone that I truly confided and trusted in, and then that was a lot that got taken a lot. And in general, that sends out a response of that when you've been sexually abused, you instantly send this response without, obviously not logically, like you will then continuously attract relationships where there isn't that security, whereas that kind of like person that dips in and then out, not fully emotionally available, where also you feel like you have to earn love, or you feel shame and guilt, or maybe you feel that resistance of fully truly accepting a man. Now I've always been someone, I do want a relationship and this, but then a part of my nervous system, my body was always so resistant towards it, because it was like it can't hold that, because all it's known is abuse and betrayal and disconnection, and also emotionally unavailability, but also where there was not that real stability and that safety and secureness. So this was a big unraveling for me, because I feel like everything in my life is like so great, but then what my biggest thing has been like love life, like masculine. And I feel like this year I've been opening up more and more to the masculine energy, and there's more men coming into my life and my spaces, and I'm like so grateful, because I'm seeing evidence that men are good, and they have got good hearts, and I'm seeing through it in a different lens. But I'm not gonna lie, and like, men, obviously this is not against you, like, but I was very, in a sense, like, men are shit. Like, there was that, and there was actually a point in my awakening path where I actually questioned my sexuality. I was like, shit, like, am I actually like into girls? Now, I'm not saying that's wrong or anything, but I mean, no, I overcame that. It was just due to the fact that, like, in my life, like, they were never fully like committed there, and I generally had this like trauma response towards them. So that's why that happened. But now I feel like I'm just becoming more and more open to men, and I'm like, I love men. Like, men are so beautiful, and I see such beauty in them, and I love that I'm opening up to them. And I think as well, like, I'm actually just looking at like another big thing for me, like the only I mean, my relationship with my dad was very on and off. I think it was very strict, very, you know, like control, very strict upbringing and stuff. So with that, it was a very big, also a big thing where I didn't really have that, you know, stability, that groundedness. It was very like a lot of chaoticness happening. That, and he's not a bad father, he's an amazing father, but then again, he has his own ways and his projections through what he's being brought up, and I see that through now. And I think like I guess like a big another thing was my granddad. My granddad was the real, so me and my granddad were like so close, and I was like literally granddad's little girl. And he was like the real, probably the most resemblance of the like the real true safe masculine for me. And what I came to realization is that, so he passed away 4 years ago, it's gonna be 5 years. And it was like when I lost that, it was like a big part that was taken from me within my heart. It was like a big part because he was the only safety and security that I had from that masculine energy. And it was actually when I lost him where I got then led to my awakening, where my awakening happened. Oh gosh, I'm so grateful though that he was a representation of that. But yeah, he was a big resemblance of that, but then that kind of got, you know, he passed away, so then it was like I never had that anymore in the physical world. So in a way it was that grief, that like something's just been like taken away from me. So then there was this other, you know, like men always leave, like they always leave, and again that was that always that instability, that unsafety. So yeah, then this, you know, this smoking, this device was that safety blanket. So since breaking free from that, honestly, it's powerful. I mean, I'm going through deep throat chakra clearings. My body is really purging hugely, but I'm seeing the most beautiful revelations from it all. And I'm seeing more revelations in the sense of unlearning a lot of things within the spiritual world as well, these spiritual misconceptions and things, something that I really want to understand, you know, like healing is not a competition, it's not about being advanced or ahead of someone else or anything. That it's not about that, you know. You are whole, you know, we are all whole, you know, that is oneness, it's wholeness. And it's understanding that, you know, we're all on our own journey, and we all hold different blueprints, we all hold different codes and information that we've accessed. Again, you know, this can be with anything, like for example, it's like when you see people, you know, like to manifest this certain amount of money, this and this, like, and then people kind of live on those projections and try and do that way, but then it doesn't work, because what they're doing is that they're going through a route of what may have worked for them, but then what you're not understanding is that you may not hold the same blueprints of what they've been. So if you've been brought up from like a rich and wealthy family, you already hold those wealth codes within you, so your journey will be different. But whereas if you've been from a family that's like poverty and not so much, and there's been a lot of lack around that, like you hold different codes, so you go on a different journey. So this is again something that I realized that, and you know, I will still post on social media and things like that, but what I'm trying to like back away from is like projecting, because I really want to emphasize, like, and this is why I work deeply with my clients with this, and clients and people who come into my space, how I never like, you know, project or tell them anything, like everything just unfolds naturally for them. Because when you begin to trust your own innate, your own intelligence, your own knowing, the information and the healing begins from that. And it's like, you're not here to chase or reach anything, you're just here to remember. So you're just on a journey of remembering and accessing these codes through your own journey. And that's why, you know, I believe, you know, we're all here to activate each other, and you know, with posting and sharing and everything else like that, like all well and good, listening to podcasts, like books, like amazing, like this is what we're here for. We're here to, you know, share our wisdom and all of that, but also again, I want you to also not live through other people's projections and come back to your own journey, because that's where you can sometimes go wrong in the sense of feel overwhelmed, is where you're trying to live someone else's life and not actually your own. And you know, this path it's not linear, it's a non-linear path, it's non-duality, there is no duality to it, there is no real structure of how you should or shouldn't do or do this, you know. You very much unravel with what you feel good at the time. And sometimes like what people can do is they can overstretch their nervous system by trying to reach the next level too quickly. They can be like, okay, you know, I want to be like that person, like reach where they're at. But when you do that, that's when you actually can feel like you're going backwards, or where you can feel more disconnected and fulfilled, because you keep trying to reach something or chase something that your nervous system is not ready to do yet. And it's why coming back to the nervous system, about creating that safety first, on staying on your path, your lane, your journey. And that's why I love the beautiful unraveling with my client spaces, is that everything just begins to unfold naturally. Everything just clicks, everything just aligns. Like, yes, I give, you know, healing like journal prompts and stuff, but I'm never like, you know, you do this, like everything just unfolds. And like the great revelations and clarity and moments come from them building this trust within themselves. And that's when then you create this wisdom and this innate knowing and remembering. And then, you know, it's your decision whether you want to share it out loud or, you know, just keep it yourself. Again, you know, business owners, you may feel like, you know, I have to do content about this and this, but one thing I realized is that I was actually oversharing quite a lot, and I was trying to give away like too much information. But then what I came to realization is that, you know, the people who want to see you will see you and will come into your space and, you know, invest and pay for that service. You know, I see investment as investment in me. So like when I pay for something or invest, like I see that investment in me, not necessarily on that person and that mentor on that, like I see that investment in me. So it's very much like understanding like kind of knowing your boundaries, honoring your boundaries, and honoring like your authenticity and what feels good and true to you, and honoring your worth, that you never have to overextend yourself or overshare yourself. That the people who see you will come into your space naturally by you just being you, your own magnetism, your own energy. Like that's just powerful itself. Again, like if we go back to olden times, then when there wasn't social media, there wasn't anything like think about like businesses were shared through word of mouth and energy and frequency itself. I really believe, and I really believe like that can also happen with you. I mean, I know like therapists and people who literally don't have social media and stuff, and they're literally fully booked and like thriving in that sense. So it's like that's another thing. So like, yeah, I will post like now and then and stuff, but also like I'm very much in this place now, like I know who I am, and I know that my magnetism, like who I am, that's just power of itself. And the ones that want to come into my space will, and the ones who see me will. And again, you know, like never put yourself in a box and how you should or shouldn't do things. You know, like I've always been this person, and I understand I've never liked to really follow pure strategy or structure on how to do things. Like I've always gone the path of like, you know, taking myself out the box and doing things differently. And also, you know, business owners or anyone, like just don't be afraid to do that. And if anything, what saved my life, as I was saying from the beginning, is going an approach through more of a feminine way with my business has literally helped me so much. Whereas when I did beauty and all that, it was very much such a masculine base. And there was moments in my business now where I was feeling burnt out and depleted, and it's because I was going from this masculine approach. And again, I wasn't honoring my boundaries, my worth and stuff. And I think I've mentioned in a video as well, you know, the best way you can protect yourself is by honoring your boundaries, filling up your cup, knowing your worth, like owning your power. That's the best way you can protect yourself. No amount of Palo Santo sage or anything is going to save you unless you just honor your boundaries. And that's when you go on this inner journey of unraveling and knowing what's good for you and what isn't, and dismantling and breaking free. And with that, you're elevating your frequency. And when you're elevating your frequency, like no one's gonna like dim you down or dim your light or take your power away. Again, I don't believe that anyone can take your power away. I believe that like you're giving your power away by the sense of by you not honoring your boundaries or your worth, and that's not that someone is taken away from it. Again, so that could be you where you're consuming energy on something that's no longer serving you. So yeah, that's where I'm really at the moment, just really sharing from a truth and vulnerable moment. I was going to do a live, but I felt like I just wanted to do a video and upload it so that you can all just kind of tap into this when you want to. I'm very much open that the ones that are meant to see this will see this. I'm just like, I'm really connected to my why, and I'm just going to keep holding that why in my space, in my heart. And it's just saving humanity. But if anything, like, I just want you to remember who you are, like your knowing, your power within you. And building that trust. You know, this is it. You know, it's about building back trust within yourself, and then with that, you know, you build a life through trust, and you shift your reality, and you begin to feel deeply connected, and more of this remembering, knowing who you are, and you no longer, you know, chase what you attract. You just be, you are. So thank you so much for listening. And again, if you want to reach out, join any of my spaces. I do 5-week transformation packages. I hold retreats. I've got some retreats coming up October, then also next year. And I've got a facilitation course coming up in September, where if there's practitioners, therapists, mentors, anyone, or even if it's just for your journey, I would love to invite you to join this space, which you can apply for. And I also hold, you know, one-to-one sessions and stuff. But then again, I really can't emphasize enough on how one-to-one 5-week transformation spaces, retreats, training, that's like on a whole deeper level. So sending you all so much love, and yeah, connect with you all soon.